you feel it? Can you feel it? Sure like that. Can you feel it? Sure like that. Can you feel it? Sure like that. Can you feel it?
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're watching us from. This is Aronax Media Podcast, and today we have the honor to have with us our guest, Francis. Welcome back to Aronax Podcast.
Thank you. Guys, I'm happy to be here.
Excellent.
Happy to be here.
We are happy to have you, obviously, and looking forward to another exciting episode on psychology, on healing, and hearing everything you have to say about that.
Yeah, let's get on. Let's see. Let's discuss a bit more.
Okay,
Yes.
good. So in today's podcast, we
Mhm.
want to talk about healing. And to kick us off,
Wow.
yes, fairly big stuff, right?
Yes.
And to kick us off, what exactly is healing in the psychological and maybe even spiritual sense of it all?
Wow. That's a very wide question. Let me begin by talking about the word healing first and foremost.
Mhm.
I think the best way to put it simply is that the word healing means to make whole.
Mhm.
Yeah. So when you're talking about healing, we're talking about being made whole. Therefore, in a sense, a person who needs healing is not whole.
Mhm.
So, what are these things in their life that have made him not whole? So that's the kind of journey we're looking at. How do you make somebody who is not whole? After quite a number of years of practicing and working through different authors, looking at what science has to say, looking at personal experiences and everything,
Mhm.
I have come up with my own philosophy that I help people with when we're talking about healing.
Mhm.
And one of those things is the understanding that we are, in a sense, three different people in each one of us.
Mhm.
The first part of us is the body that we see. Yeah. Everything that is in the skin.
Mhm.
That's the first part of us. The second part is our experience. The experience that we experience through our brain.
Mhm.
And our brain is not only located in our head. Yeah. Our brain is spread all over the body.
Mhm.
So, for example, we talk about muscle memory.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's a memory, but it's in the muscle. So
Mhm.
again, it's spread all over the body.
Correct.
So that muscle memory is part of our brain.
Mhm.
So there's that part of experience and of learning. And then, of course, the third part is a spiritual
Mhm.
component.
Mhm.
The Romans used to call it the animus,
Mhm.
that thing that makes us animated or alive, that thing
Mhm.
that when it leaves our body, then we say somebody is dead.
Mhm.
Yeah. So those three aspects are inside our body or inside of us, and they interact to make us alive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So our body is the way we experience the world. It's what we use to move around this physical world.
Mhm.
As we move around this physical world, we get to know things. We get to know how to navigate through
Mhm.
this world.
Mhm.
And all that we learn through our brains.
Mhm.
And then we have the spiritual part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the spiritual part is also as important because it gives us a sense of belonging, a
Mhm.
sense of attachment,
Mhm.
a sense of worthiness, and all those things. So
Mhm.
I don't know whether I'm talking about healing.
No, it's important. I mean, for example, it's always fascinating to know that your brain is not only in your head, because
Yes.
we used to talk about muscle memory and never connect the fact that the muscle does have, or part of the brain is in the muscle.
Yes.
So and then the animus, as you've said, is what maybe some cultures refer to as a soul.
Yes.
And as you said, when it leaves your body, you're dead.
Mhm.
So when we take the fact that your brain is everywhere, how then do we then break that down specifically
Mhm.
to healing? How does then that apply when you're looking to help somebody heal and become whole?
Okay, so the first thing is we have to understand what is it that is making the person not whole.
Mhm.
And I think I want to talk about those three levels
Yeah.
of not being whole.
Mhm.
So let me use an example,
Sure.
yeah, of the things that can happen that can make somebody not whole.
Mhm.
And I'm going to take an example of a young man.
Mhm.
We shall call him, let's call him
Jack.
Jack.
Yes.
Yeah. So Jack is 32 years old.
Mhm.
Let's just put a figure there again. Jack
Yeah.
is 32 years old. He's just graduated from his master's degree.
Mhm.
Again, we'll pick his story from there. And he's gone to work for an advertising company.
Mhm.
Okay. So when Jack gets into the workplace where it's an advertising company, one of the things that he'll experience is something called stress.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Deadlines, pushing yourself,
Mhm.
being creative,
Mhm.
working with people who are as hungry as he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People who don't mind taking a little shortcut here,
Mhm.
people who don't mind undercutting,
Mhm.
yeah, stealing his ideas, all those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens to Jack? He starts experiencing something called stress.
Mhm.
Okay. And stress starts manifesting itself first and foremost on the body.
Mhm.
Okay. So it will be fatigue,
Mhm.
right? So because he needs to push himself a bit more, the good guy that Jack is,
Mhm.
he will probably work a bit harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you find that he feels tired, but because he knows that there are projects and there are deadlines, and there's a boss who is always asking for things, what he is going to do is wake up a bit earlier
Mhm.
and push a bit later. Okay.
True.
Now, in between these points, when he's waking a bit earlier and
Mhm.
sleeping a bit later, he's going to be putting in more and more effort.
Mhm.
So he probably also starts skipping his meals.
Mhm.
Yeah. So things like what he's eating, yeah, how much water he's drinking, all those things start getting interfered with. Right.
Yeah.
So the end effect is that he's getting less sleep. He's not eating as much
Mhm.
or as well. He might actually eat more, but eat not as well.
Yeah.
And then when he goes to sleep, he will have those dreams of he's back in the office, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
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 I think this is kawaida stress.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it gets to a point where he reaches where he doesn't want to see emails, because now anything will trigger him
Mhm.
to remember what's happening at the office.
Correct.
Okay. Now this is what we call a stressful life.
Mhm.
Okay. So the body is affected at this particular point.
Mhm.
Right. Now, beyond the body, okay, where he's feeling tired, where he's feeling no appetite,
Mhm.
yeah, maybe when he's meeting with his boss, he's a bit tensed, a
Mhm.
bit anxious.
Correct.
Yeah, these
Mhm.
things actually are physiological. They affect the body.
Mhm.
So that's him. Beyond that, let's look about his psychology. All right. So he's always thinking about the project he's working.
Mhm.
Yeah. So assume he's working on a project, and for some reason that project is not moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you start getting thoughts over and over, how do I get this project moving?
Mhm.
All right. that cyclistic thought,
Mhm.
yeah, can actually become a block.
Mhm.
Okay, so it keeps replaying and replaying and replaying in his head,
Mhm.
and it can actually kill his creativity.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so you get stuck at that project. All of a sudden, you spend too much time on one project and not on the five that you have on the table.
Mhm.
You're not able to allocate time.
Mhm.
You're not able to um, delegate or
Yeah.
ask for help.
Mhm.
Okay, so all the time you just think about this one project and ignoring everything else.
Correct.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this means that even when he's supposed to be having a downtime,
Mhm.
he's just remembering the project.
Mhm.
All
Mhm.
right, and then let's look at how all this affects his spirituality.
Mhm.
So he's already stressed. All right,
Yeah.
and when you're in that place of stress,
Mhm.
it's very hard to feel safe.
Mhm.
Yeah, one of the things that is underlying at the bottom of stress is the fact that if I don't deliver, my job is going to go.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so all aspects around security. Yeah, and if your security is threatened, how do you look at the world? Again, your world is actually threatened
Mhm.
because without a job, what do you have?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fear.
Mhm.
So on the spiritual side, the first symptom, or one of the main symptoms that I would say that you're affected is a sense of fear.
Mhm.
Yeah, you lose trust,
Mhm.
you lose faith
Mhm.
that everything is going to be okay, and the whole aspect of hope
Mhm.
also disappears. That
Mhm.
means that when you look into your future, you don't see a hopeful future or a
Mhm.
future where there is possibility of happiness.
Okay.
Yeah. So these things have happened. They have affected his body.
Mhm.
They have affected his psychology.
Mhm.
Yeah. And now they're affecting his uh, hope and faith
Mhm.
that everything is going to be okay in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So that's really where you start by trying to identify um by looking at these three areas and figuring out um, how to deal with the stress in that area. And maybe before you answer, is there like a definition of what is stress? How would you then, to someone who doesn't know, how would you then define, or how would you then talk about stress?
I think the best. So, okay. Let me begin with your second question. So,
Mm-hmm.
the definition for me, stress is anything that happens
Mm-hmm.
that stretches your ability to cope. When
Okay.
things happen to you that stretch your ability to cope.
Okay.
And please note, your ability to cope can be stretched by both good things and bad things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So not all stress is bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh-huh.
But when your ability to cope starts being stretched beyond what you could call normal,
Mm-hmm.
then of course that's bad stress.
Yeah.
But majority of the times,
Mm-hmm.
um, most stress is actually good because it helps you to grow. It actually pulls you to grow. It actually
Okay.
stretches you. So
Okay.
when you're put in a leadership position,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're put under stress. But it's the kind of stress that can actually help you grow to become a good leader.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, the same kind of stress, if you're not managing it well, or if it is in an environment where things are not very good,
Mm-hmm.
can actually lead you to become, like self-sabotage or
Okay.
doubt yourself,
Yeah.
or pull yourself so hard that you
Mm-hmm.
actually crash and burn, so to speak.
So then you start manifesting
Yes.
because of the negative stress. You start
Yes.
manifesting these things that you're talking about earlier in the
Yes.
three areas
Yes.
of your being.
Of your being.
Yes.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody comes to me and one of the things I want us to see is, yes, this is a situation that is
Mm-hmm.
causing stress.
Mm-hmm.
This is what is actually causing stress,
Mm-hmm.
and then expand that um, uh, understanding that it's actually affecting your body, it's
Mm-hmm.
actually affecting your mind, it's actually affecting your spirit. Yeah,
Yeah.
because as soon as we start looking at how it's affecting the body, how it's affecting the mind, how it's affecting the spirit, then we're able to come up with ways of making the person whole again.
Mhm.
Yeah. So again, just going to stress.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
talking about stress and going
Mhm.
back to the story of Jack.
Mhm.
One of the things is we know for a fact is that without good food,
Mhm.
the body will be affected.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it doesn't matter what situation you are in. One of the things that anybody needs to do deliberately is to eat well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because again, without the food, you get affected. And
Correct.
then there are foods that are bad.
Mhm.
For example, once in a while when I work with young people,
Mhm.
I find them taking a lot of energy drinks
Mhm.
that contain caffeine.
Yes.
And for them, they say, "Wow, this is good. I mean, I'm getting energy. I'm
Mhm.
able to work harder, to
Push longer
focus."
hours.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Mhm.
But it gives you lots of sugar
Mhm.
instantly,
Mhm.
and then when the sugar leaves the body, you get a slump.
Yes.
Yeah, and this can actually give somebody a feeling of bipolar. At
Mhm.
one point, you're energized. When the sugar disappears, I am so low.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can lead to an addiction of energy drinks and
Mhm.
sugar.
Mhm.
So being mindful of those kind of things. Be mindful that you need to be able to eat your vitamins
Mhm.
because your body needs those vitamins.
Correct.
Yeah. Being able to understand that you need some kind of energy, but not fats or
Mhm.
salts.
Mhm.
And by the way, when we are experiencing stress, when our body, yeah, is experiencing stress, it may shut down the need to eat for
Mhm.
now because you need to deal with something. But when that period of dealing with something is over, whatever it is
Mhm.
that you're dealing with,
Mhm.
then the body craves sweet, salty, fatty foods.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you find that somebody can easily, if you're in a high stress situation,
Yeah.
because you're always dealing with small little
Yes.
challenges every so often,
Mhm.
somebody's demanding something, delivery, yeah,
Mhm.
you find that people gravitate towards salty, fatty, sweet foods.
Correct.
What we
Mhm.
call
Yes.
beige foods. Yeah,
Yes.
the chips, the fried
Yes.
chicken.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So eating is critical.
Mhm.
Being able to eat is and consciously and deliberately eat healthy.
Mhm.
Something else that is important is exercise.
Mhm.
Yeah. Currently, if you were to actually look at science,
Mhm.
the best cure for stress is workout.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're working out
Mhm.
and you're working out very well and
Mhm.
deliberately,
Yes.
yeah, and intentionally working out,
Mhm.
then the probability of getting overwhelmed by stress actually comes low. It
Okay.
becomes, it's
Yeah.
actually lowered,
It's reduced
reduced
significantly.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So being able to work out,
Mhm.
yeah. Thirdly, things like sleep.
Mhm.
Again, your brain can't function without rest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to take a break
Mhm.
and sleep healthily.
Yes.
A lot of people say that they only need a couple of hours
Mhm.
of sleep, and
Mhm.
then it doesn't work like that. In fact, most adults need
Yeah.
the 8 hours that have always been prescribed,
Yeah.
and people think that that's for kids,
Yeah. Yeah.
but most adults
Yeah.
need at least the 8 hours of good sleep.
Okay.
There's quite a bit of
Mm.
interesting research that sometimes that even maybe 9 hours is actually better for you,
Okay.
but you know
Yeah.
research is interesting. So there are
Yes.
those who say 6 hours, there's those who
Mhm.
are going to say 9 hours,
Mhm.
but yeah. So sleep is definitely important.
Okay.
So once we're able to identify that these are things that Jack can do for his body,
Mhm.
then we're able to put them in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we can move to the psychological bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Psychological bit is all about using the head,
Mhm.
so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It involves things like prioritizing,
Mhm.
being able to set times for focus.
Mhm.
Yeah. Being able to bring in creativity.
Okay.
Yeah. And being able to just organize
Yeah.
your thoughts.
Mhm.
So, for example, one of the things I'm always asking people to do when we're dealing with stress is prioritize.
Yeah.
What are the things that in an hour or in a day will you, when you put your attention there, they're going to give you most value? What are the issues that require like immediate attention?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are the things that require a lot of time to think through? So when you put these things on the table, then you can say, okay, probably I need to deal with my customers'
Yeah.
emails earliest in the morning. So between 8 and 8:30, you've gotten all the customers' emails out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, or clients' emails, for example. And then you say between 8:30 and 10:30, that's when I think clearest.
Yeah.
Yeah, therefore I'm going to do the heaviest work at that particular point. Yeah, and you're able to sit down and do the heaviest work. And then you can say, okay, now that I've done the heavy work, what are the other things that need my immediate attention? And then you give it attention. And then in the afternoon, you say, now that's the time I'm going to do collaborations, I'm going to do whatever it is, you
Yeah.
know. And once you put your work like that, it becomes manageable.
Yes.
In between, definitely structure times for rests, times for breaks. Yeah. And, you know, like you're doing the heavy work. Okay, I've done this. Reward yourself. You know, all those small things.
Yeah.
So you're able to put all those things in place.
Okay.
Once you look at the geography, let me put it this way. This is my work. This is the things that I need to put in place. This is, once you've organized yourself, then work becomes manageable. Yeah. And part of managing work, by the way, is being able to manage both colleagues, subordinates, and bosses.
Okay.
You need to be able to manage
Yes.
them.
Yes.
Yeah. So like you know that your boss is always asking for A, B, C, and D. The best time to have those conversations is at this particular point. You tell your boss, please, between this and this time, I'll be working on this kind of thing. So let's not have conversations, because if you come in and ask me questions at that particular point, I may lose my flow. And, you know,
Yeah.
being able to have those kind of conversations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That now talks also to the other part of spirituality.
Correct.
And that is that you have to have faith,
Yes.
first and foremost, in yourself and in your abilities. Yeah. You have to believe that you can actually deliver. And this comes from knowing that you have what it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's your skills are one. The skills are probably in your head. But having faith in yourself is slightly more than that. Yeah, it goes to the deepest part of you, your identity, how you see yourself, how you look at yourself. Yeah. So having faith that you can deliver, that means that even when you talk to your boss, you know this is my value.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am here, I am delivering, I am doing. Yeah. So there is no fear, there's no aspects of feeling that I am not enough. You already know what's your value. You know, you have faith in your skills. You have faith in your ability to deliver. You have faith in the fact that your body is going to power through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So if I find myself in a high stress environment, and a lot of us are in high stress environments, so I'm beginning to, show the symptoms of high stress, meaning, either I'm not sleeping well, or I'm frustrated at my team, or, the different things. So what tips, or what 3 things can I do to start managing that stress better?
So interesting. So let's talk about high stress environments. So you're already noticing in your body that in this situation, or currently I'm not sleeping well. I have a lot of tension in my system. I have brain blocks.
Yes.
That means I'm not concentrating as well as I'm supposed to be concentrating. And there's a bit of worry, or either around my work or around my relationships
Yeah.
with the people I work with, or I am pulling away from certain people and gravitating towards others. Can I take it slightly,
Yes.
just to develop this a bit further?
Yes.
In a high stress environment, one of the things is to be careful about is the kind of behaviors that start coming out because you're in that environment. Yeah. And some of those behaviors could be, are you shouting a bit more? Are you manifesting your anger a bit more? I've talked about withdrawing. So are you connecting with people, or are you pulling away from people? So, for example, you find yourself spending a lot of time at work, but you're not communicating or interacting with family members at home.
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing that is interesting to watch is the attitude. Our attitudes are very quickly affected by the environments where we are if we are not careful.
Yeah.
So we always talk about the attitude of negativity. Yeah, it may come in as suspicion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't look at the other aspects like doubt.
Yeah.
You start doubting yourself or doubting possibilities of doing things. Things like indecisiveness
Yes.
come into play, and this play themselves out in how you make your decisions, how you communicate your decisions, how you communicate with other people.
Yeah.
Okay, and then of course there's something called toxicity
Yes.
in terms of relationships. Yeah, if you're in high stress environment, there is that wanting to hurt people, or wanting to get back at people,
Yeah.
or wanting to undermine people. So the question that you'd ask yourself is, am I when I relate to people, am I building those relationships? Am I building people?
Yeah.
Or am I taking away from people? So now when you look at those things, yeah, I think the first thing for me, if you're in any high level situation, is to try and be aware.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
be aware of how is this situation affecting the different parts of me. How is it affecting my body? How is it affecting my psyche? How is it affecting my spiritual part?
Yeah.
How is it affecting my relationships? How is it affecting my behaviors? How is it affecting my attitudes? Yeah, and look at all these things in entirety. Yeah, this is how I am being affected. All right. So once you're aware, there's something that everybody nowadays talks about,
Yeah.
and that's called mindfulness.
Yes.
Yeah, being mindful is being in the moment. For example,
Correct.
yeah, or what we talk about, smell the roses. Yeah, or smell the coffee. I mean, when you're drinking coffee, actually take time to smell
Correct.
the coffee.
Yeah.
So being mindful is being able to be in the moment.
Yeah.
So if I'm actually being stressed, I am mindful of how it's affecting my body, how it's affecting my psyche, how it's affecting all those things.
Yeah.
So when I'm being mindful, then I can start taking small corrective measures. The best way when you're in a stressful environment is to remove yourself. Yeah.
Point
However,
number one:
yes,
remove.
remove yourself.
Yeah.
However, sometimes it's a bit hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To remove yourself from those high stress
Yeah.
environments.
Correct.
So be aware that the way we are created, the way we are made, we can probably deal with any stress.
Okay, that's encouraging to know. Anything.
We can actually almost deal with almost anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, we have to be able to believe that we can do this. Yeah. So that speaks to my point number 2. What are your belief system, values? Yeah. How do you see the world? How do you see your place in this world?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you, like, maybe it's at the work.
Yes.
Yeah, what value are you bringing in? Because you need to be able to focus on your value,
Mm-hmm.
focus on what it is that you're delivering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, being able to focus on value versus the side shows.
Yes.
I am here to do a specific task. To do this specific task, this is what I am bringing to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And then thirdly is self-care.
Mm-hmm.
It is extremely important to
Yeah.
appreciate that taking care of yourself is not selfishness.
Mm-hmm.
It is self-care.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, schedule breaks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in a toxic environment or a stressful environment,
Mm-hmm.
take time out of those environments.
Yeah.
So create a life
Mm-hmm.
slightly away from there. Maybe I share.
Mm-hmm.
Once upon a time, when we were developing, when I was working at Kenyatta Hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and we were working almost every day with people who are HIV positive,
Mm-hmm.
and I was being able to. I was the one telling people they're HIV positive.
Yeah.
You can imagine it takes out a lot of you as you deal with
Mm-hmm.
breaking those news. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I found extremely helpful is learning to play golf.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would have to take time out
Mm-hmm.
and go to a golf course where I'm walking 4 or 5 kilometers,
Mm-hmm.
chasing after a small white ball
Mhm.
with a big club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was therapeutic.
Okay.
Yeah. So taking care of yourself means that you have to have hobbies
Mhm.
outside of whatever toxic environment that you have.
Okay.
I have a client who is a pilot,
Mm-hmm.
and as a pilot, he gets to fly all over the world.
Yeah.
But they have to compete with other pilots. They
Mhm.
have to maintain extremely hectic schedules.
Yeah.
And you find that he might be flying into one town,
Mm-hmm.
stay for 4 hours, and fly again. And then when he reaches the next destination, he's told,
Mhm.
okay, now your flight has to be delayed, so you are going to be here for the next 48 hours
Yeah.
away from his family.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we've been talking with him is what habits can you develop around those things?
Mm-hmm.
So he's taken up photography.
Okay.
So whenever he goes to a new destination, he's
Mhm.
always trying to visit the museum, photograph
Mhm.
new parks, get a feel of what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that you can build in slowly. So
Yeah.
once he's left the aircraft or the
Yeah.
airport,
Yeah.
he can actually do things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, very, very critical is scheduling rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And recuperation
Mhm.
exercises. So being able to take care of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
get into hobbies
Mhm.
that create a break,
Mm-hmm.
being mindful,
Mm-hmm.
and then again check your values.
Excellent. And all this then leads to you becoming whole where
Yes.
you were previously broken by being in that environment, right?
I am going to say that this is a journey
Yes.
because we talk about Jack.
Yes.
We've taken a snapshot of Jack from when he's 32.
Yes.
You use the word broken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are very many things that can break a person,
Mm-hmm.
and broken people are functioning people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I wouldn't. The whole discussion around brokenness is different.
It's different.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So what I was doing is managing
Mm-hmm.
stress.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Despite whether you're broken or you're not broken.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Good. All right. So there you have it, folks. Around healing, around managing stress. Always a pleasure to have you, Francis.
Yeah, and I think we should talk a little bit more because there's a lot more to healing than just managing stress.
Okay.
Yeah, what we're talking about is maybe a daily activity.
Okay.
Let's talk some more. Let's look for some more time and continue this discussion.
Excellent. So there you have it. Stay tuned to Aronax Media and Aronax Podcast for a lot more coming up around healing. I also want to know, where does religion and spirituality, and what role do they have to healing, and what's the difference between my priest and my psychological therapist? Is there a difference? So I think all those things that we will talk about as we go on through the day. So stay with us. Stay with Aronax Media. And for now, thank you, Francis, for coming on.
Karibu sana.
Yes, and we'll see you
bye-bye.
next time. Cheers. Bye bye.
Can you